Have you ever thought about what the impact is of your fish tank on the world? Have you ever thought about, how much electricity your fish tank uses, how much water your fish tank uses, all those kind of things? Well, if you haven't, then definitely stick around because I'm going to be going over some of these topics and basically come to a conclusion whether your fish tank is destroying the planet or not. And yeah, if you find that interesting, then keep on listening. So let's start off with the general energy consumption of your fish tank, okay? So if you have a fish tank, let's say you have a 20-gallon fish tank, which is about 80 liters, and that fish tank has a heater, has a filter, has probably a light, things like that. Those are usually the three, electrical energy using components. Now, let's go over how much each one of these elements uses, right? A general heater for a 20-gallon tank would be between 100 and 200 watts, I would say. So let's take 150 watts as an average. Then a filter. Now, here comes the interesting part. It depends if you have an internal filter, external filter, if you have sponge filters, whatever it may be. On average, I'm going to take, an estimate of about 20 watts, 20 to 25 watts, I would say, maybe 30. Can be more, can be less, it just really depends. But let's say 20 watts. So that's already 170 watts. Now, if we then add a light to it, it also, again, really depends on what kind of light you have and everything like that. But let's just say, in general, about 30 watts. It can be less, it can be more, but again, it's difficult to really say an average. So that would come out to a total of about 200 watts. So your fish tank, if you have just one fish tank, uses about 200 watts of electricity. Now, if you think about it that way, it's like, that's not too bad. However, you gotta think of it like this. That 200 watts, most of it is, well, it's not on 24/7 because your light's not on 24/7, your heater is not on 24/7, your filter is though. So your filter is, but if we would take an average and do some, quick calculations, say we take an average of about 100 watts that is running 24/7 per day. I don't know if that makes sense. So 100 times 24 is 2.4 kilowatts per day. Now, if we times that by 365, in a year, that is 876 kilowatts, because we divide by 100, 876 kilowatts of electricity. Now, that's for one fish tank, okay? So, yeah, it's quite a decent amount. Like, it's not nothing, let's just say that. And that's just for one fish tank. Now, if we take that a kilowatt hour is about 20 cents, so times 0.21, that's already about 183 euros per year. That's in the Netherlands here, that's about the price. That's also quite a decent amount for one fish tank, but again, it's not too bad. But anyway, point being, a fish tank does use a bit of electricity. Now, what else does a fish tank use? Well, water, of course. You can't have a fish tank without water. And here's the interesting part. Water consumption for a fish tank is, well, again, it depends on the size. Now, if you just got a 20-gallon tank, 80 liters, it's not that drastic. You might do a water change once per week, once per 2 weeks, and you take about 50% out. So that's about 10 gallons or 40 liters. That's really not a mega amount to worry about, because if we calculate then, and we say about 10 gallons, so 40 liters per week, then we do 40 times 52 is about 2,000 liters per year. Now, I don't know how many gallons that is. I think that's about 400 gallons maybe, 400, 500 gallons, something like that. Anyway, again, it's not a mega amount, that's actually doable, so we're not too bad on that front. And I guess that's the two main things, like, we got energy usage and water usage in aquariums. Now, of course, we also got things like hardscape, plants, fish, substrate, things like that. And you got to think that some of these are being sourced from countries that are very far away from wherever you live. Like, say we take, I live here in the Netherlands, then most of the hardscape might come all the way from Asia somewhere. Fish might come from South America. Plants, well, I'm kind of lucky, my plants come just around the corner because they get grown here. But if you're living somewhere else, they would be shipped from here to like America or wherever it may be. So you got to think about that carbon footprint as well. Those are going on airplanes and, things like that. So if you think about it, a fish tank does kind of use a lot of resources and materials. However, I don't think that your fish tank is destroying the planet. Let me just be clear on that. I don't think so, because I got multiple reasons for that, which I'll state now. Also, by the way, you got to think that, you know, we're doing this for one fish tank, but if you have multiple, then of course it's going to be more. However, I think the impact of what I'm going to mention in a minute is also more. So anyway, here we go. So basically, the reason why it's not making that big of an impact on the world is because, first of all, if you would compare it to anything else in your house, think of your TV. Think of the phone or computer you're watching this video on right now. Think about how much energy that uses and how long you use that, and calculate how much that is per year. Like, that's also a significant amount. And also things like, you know, if you're cooking, or if you're you got your fridge, your freezer, whatever, like, you know, things like that. Of course, those are of life essential. You need those. Although I would say you need a fish tank to survive in this world as well, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, you know, it's like you got all those other things that are also using a lot of electricity and like energy and whatever. So yeah, just think about it like that. And also water consumption. I mean, you probably shower. You might take a bath, whatever. That uses a lot of water as well. So, you know, I'm just saying. Anyway, then, you know, second point being, actually the aquarium industry has helped save thousands of species of fish that have nearly gone extinct in the wild. And why are they going extinct? Sometimes it's because of human behavior and human things, like, you know, deforestation and like pollution in the waters and stuff. You know, that can be one of the reasons why fish are going extinct. There's also other reasons, of course. However, you know, by us having fish tanks and like this, we can have those fish, we can bring those in, and we can breed those species that are nearly extinct. There's multiple examples of fish and people that are doing that right now, which I think is great, because that can get to a point where we can have so many that we can reintroduce them back into the wild, which is amazing, of course, because that helps save the planet, actually. So, of course, that is really great about fish tanks. And then, last but not least, I think why fish tanks are still essential is because for a lot of people, it can just be their emotional getaway, I would like to call it. Like, for example, if you're stressed or you've got some kind of anxiety or whatever, it's been scientifically proven that having a fish tank, looking at a fish tank, can take those away. Like, it can really help with that. And I think that's already a good enough reason to just have fish tanks and to basically disregard all the other information about, you know, how much electricity it uses, how much water it uses, because, yeah, those just overweigh and outcome like all the, what am I trying to say? Not the consequences. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to say something and I don't know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, I hope I've given you like a good insight on what it's really like and what I think, what my viewpoints are. Like, you know, I'm not saying this is the right answer to everything that I've said. I would really like to actually hear what you guys have to say. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. Do you think that, you know, your fish tank is destroying the planet? If yes, put it down. If no, put it down in the comments, and I'll be happy to hear from you. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, of course, and watch this video here next, where you can actually see some problems in the aquarium industry that need to stop right now. I think you'll find that video quite interesting, so go watch that there. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time.